What's up, everybody? Welcome to John versus. We made it to episode 15. 15 great movies that I hope none of you watched. With me today, someone who I feel like I need to apologize to. Kirk Kowalkowski. Thank you for being on the show. How you feeling this week?
I wish you would have given me a different movie to watch. Let's put it that way.
I don't think I could have given you anything better. They're all about the same. They're all about the same. And I think there might be worse movies out there, but I'm keeping on the same production studio. So it's the same. It's the same level of bad quality. I know people can see the thumbnail. They know what we're talking about. But without spoiling what we're talking about, unless we came on this by accident, what were your initial thoughts about the movie?
When you said we're going to watch a bad movie, I said, okay, I'll watch a bad movie. Because sometimes, bad movies can be fun. But what shocked me is how just boring this was. Like how real little, like usually you see those bad horror movies and you're like, oh, at least as this person loves horror movies. I don't know if this person whoever made this ever saw a horror movie before, because there was no attempt to be scary or funny or even sexy or anything that you kind of get from B-level horror movies. It's just there. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll say like the thing that just cuts Jagged, at least these early stage Jagged Edge movies, is they play it so straight all the time. Like there's very little, if any, humor, very little, if any, sexuality, like you said, and very little, if any, like resolution. Like you don't even feel good at the end. You're left with the feeling that wow, I just did that. So what we're talking about, if you didn't look at the thumbnail, is last week we covered Conjuring the Genie. They made a sequel, even though that wrapped up very tightly. And basically, they just ripped off Wishmaster again. It's Conjuring the Genie 2, or Wishmaker, I believe it's called as well.
Sometimes true stories, they don't sell. You need to find the drama or make it up. Urban myths, they sell.
I found an interview with a single survivor. He conjured up a djinn, and one by one, they succumbed to their desires.
What's a djinn?
Like a genie.
That grants wishes.
Exactly. Morning, Mum.
So, this is the Scooby Gang.
Yeah. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes. And I will summon the Jinn. Beni Jinn, Damihim, Volitetemim.
Master, you have one wish.
Did you see it? What have we done?
I've come to fulfill your wishes.
I just want to be noticed by men and not dismissed.
What's happened?
What? It's a push-up bra?
Do you think it was the genie?
We tapped into something we shouldn't have. Would you like to be happy?
Yeah, I do.
Then say the words. Promise me you won't use that genie.
Mum! That's so hard!
It just seems strange. What's going on? Come on, did you see it? Come on, guys, it's the genie!
I don't want to talk about the genie.
His wish has been granted.
Please, I'm worried about her.
She's probably just busy.
We have to talk about this.
Are you afraid?
I wish that this was all over.
If you were in my position, you would have done exactly the same thing. Has it visited you yet?
Right, let's get this over with. You're a curse.
I've saved you for last. I've come to fulfill your desires.
And a misleading trailer on top of it all. He didn't come for her last. He comes for the other guy last. But besides the point, this movie starts, and I know you didn't watch the first one. It's totally fine. I would never normally say that in a horror series, but it's totally cool. We got a cold open, I guess, that sets up some of the mythology. We have people that are suffering from the genie in being involved in their lives in the first place. There's a man that's invisible.
Sure, looks like you're the last one, because I don't exist anymore. Campus fucked that up. I wished for invisibility, therefore I am invisible.
Are those characters from the first movie?
No. They are not. That's to answer your first question. No, those characters are not seen in the first movie. The first movie ties up with a bunch of other characters who live happily ever after. But apparently, somebody finds the genie again. We missed the middle. I guess part 3 will be like a midquel where we get the middle of the movie.
Conjuring the Genie 1.5.
Yeah, right. And so this guy's invisible, but she can't see or hear him, and she's gonna just she's done. She's the last one left, and in a sequence that. I got to just give a chef's kiss to the stunt work. She falls down the stairs in what looks like slow motion, but she's going at full speed.
Jenny, no. No!
The most gentle suicide you're ever going to see on film.
Yeah.
Where she tucks in and slowly rolls herself down the steps and somehow breaks her neck.
I guess she does her own stunts because like that looked safe, looked very safe. But they did add in at least 20 bone-breaking sound effects of her rolling down these stairs at 2 miles an hour.
Yeah, the director was definitely on saying, we really don't have insurance for this, so be careful, because she absolutely was.
All right, she was, and I think honestly, now that I think back on it, she's wearing like a really, really puffy sweatshirt too. So I guarantee she had some layers on under there, maybe a bulletproof vest.
Yeah,
nothing was gonna happen to her.
Somehow did though.
But from there, we title card. And then we're introduced to our crew. And I got to say, like, for a Jagged Edge movie, these people are especially unlikable. What did you think of these people?
Yeah, there was... I'm assuming, the way you're talking, I'm assuming this is par for the course of these movies, but they give you nothing to connect with. You don't learn anything about them. You don't learn, hey, there's no save the cat moment. No one's, no one's likable, like you said, but you're not even given reasons to dislike them. These people are just there. You're thrown into a silent room with them all just sitting there, literally just staring at their laps, looking at books. That's how you're introduced to this group. And
the weird facts they give you. The main character, her name's Gabby. She is an author. She's like a hot author, I guess. She's up and coming. She has a 3-book deal. Her first book sold millions of copies. Doesn't look like it. They just tell you that. Yeah. And she's like being really whiny about them wanting a second book in a successful book series.
There's always the option to the trilogy.
No, I don't want to be tied down to a series and never accomplish anything.
And as unlikable and whiny as she is, they make her agent like the agent stereotype. He's just a douchebag.
I'll let you into a little secret, should I? I ain't scared of anything. Not your lawyer, and certainly not a little pissant like you.
Yeah.
And then all of her friends are one-note people. There's the girl that I guess is flat-chested and can't stand it. There's the guy that is weak and can't stand it.
5, 6.
Her boyfriend is Vanilla.
Hey everyone, sorry I'm.
And then there's a friend that's just looking for love.
Yeah.
I want to meet the man in my dreams.
And her
you
mom
find out like halfway through the movie she's looking for love. It's never really, she never says anything until I think there's maybe 20 minutes left in the movie.
Yeah, when they ask what her wish is, she's like, I'd like to have a man fall in love with me.
Yeah.
And then also Gabby's mother is in a coma.
Morning, Mum.
Which is, it's just stated, and you see her lying in the bed. So that's her driving force. You got anything else to add on these characters, Kurt? Do any of them stand out to you? Are the people you want to hang out with?
I think One Note is generous. Because the thing is, you get those scenes like, okay, let's establish these characters. If this was a movie, you get these characters, we establish whatever, their shortcomings and their flaws are. And then that is eventually going to be, in a Genie movie, that's going to be their wish. That'll bring about their downfall. But it doesn't, the little bit we're given about these characters doesn't match up at all with what happens the rest of the movie.
Okay. So her publishing company wants her to write another book, like a sequel to the book she wrote. She wants to do something else. She wants to write a book about I guess the events that happened in the first movie, because she references like 16s that found a genie, which is, I guess, in 6 words, the plot of the first movie. So they decide to recreate. Somehow she gets all the materials to recreate it. She doesn't have the book or anything from the first movie.
Yeah.
She just lucks upon the ritual.
Close your eyes, and I will summon the Jinn.
I mean, that's one thing I would say is that there are 0 rules established in this movie. Like, there's no, like, how you get the genie, how the wishes work, how the wishes don't work, how to get rid of the genie. It's literally being made up as it goes along. There's no, and that's what I hate that in horror movies. Like, I could take a bad horror movie, but if you give me good rules to follow and it follows its own rules, then there's something for you to grasp onto. But here, there's just nothing. Just, oh, we're getting the genie. Is there a magic lamp? No, we're going to do a ritual, and we're going to sit around and chat and cut ourselves and bleed over a candle. And that's how you conjure a genie, I guess.
Which isn't what happens in the first movie, but though they do make the same mistake of also referring to this genie as like an urban legend.
What's the inspiration?
Well, I researched some local urban myths in the area and found this incident that happened right here.
Again, in this movie, genies are not urban legends. And I think the only rules that get established in this movie is they assume you've seen Wishmaster. They assume you've seen it. And if you've seen it, then you understand what the rules are supposed to be for this movie. I think those are the only rules.
Yeah, you guess that, I mean, I guess in a roundabout way follows the generic genie rules that, you kind of just know from culture. Yeah. But again, there's nothing in this movie that says, hey, this is what we have to do. This is what, there's nothing in Act 1 where you look back and say, oh, in Act 3, like, oh, that's the way we're going to get out of this, because it's just, like I said, made up as it goes along. I also like to point out the fact that her agent, it starts out because her agent tells her, you need to find something new, something fresh, go make something up. And she comes back, okay, I want to tell these genie stories. Well, genies aren't real. And they're really obsessed with the fact that genies aren't real. It is why she can't write a book about them.
No, I'm going to go with the genie idea. I want to sprinkle as much realism in it as possible.
I hate to burst your bubble, love, but genies, they ain't real.
To the fact where, and you're probably going to touch this, but he needs her to prove that genies are real before he'll let her write a book. I'm like, is this are they like documentarians? She's
J.K. Rowling went through the same thing.
Exactly.
They're like, no, you're not going to write this goddamn book. You have to prove wizards are real. That's basically it was based on true events.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're exactly right though. It makes 0 sense, and she waffles back and forth. She goes between like you're kind of sympathetic to her, and then you're like, wow, she's like really tone deaf. Like she's very mean to her friends. She's like totally distant from her boyfriend. She lies to her boyfriend when it's very clear she made a wish. Everyone knows she made a wish, but she's just flat out lying to everybody. But let's get into these wishes.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen, and again in this movie, they are straight up lifting a scene from another movie, acting like if you're watching this, I don't think horror fans jump into this part of the pool. This part of the pool has poop in it. You're not going to jump into this part of the pool. You've been in other parts of the pool. The one friend who makes the first wish, and you see it in the trailer that she wants men to notice her breasts grow larger, and they continue to grow larger throughout the film. Which I don't know if you've seen Leprechaun 3, but that happens to a character in Leprechaun 3. What are you doing to the and I'll add that scene in here too. So it's like I felt it was just a total lift of that. It just happens over a much longer period of time.
Oh yeah, and what's funny about it too is, eventually they grow large. They never, because I figure, she says, yeah, she said, I want to be noticed. So you think again, movie. Genie's something's going to happen where she's, grotesque, and that's why people notice her. So at first, her breasts grow slightly larger.
Hello, Gabby.
And you saw the trailer there where she says, "Oh, it's just a push-up bra," and yeah, that's completely believable because that's about how much bigger they got. But everybody's acting like they're just like these like
huge.
They're huge, and like everybody's like taken aback by them. And, they do get bigger throughout the movie, but never so big where you're like, oh my God, that's unnatural or, inhuman that they would be that big. She's got big boobs. And other things happen within the movie but they keep referencing her boobs. What about her boobs? Like
Yeah.
this person died and her boobs. It's
like she gets to a point, like it will jump around with each characters, but she gets to a point, like the end of her arc. It's a very shallow arc. The end of her arc is her breasts grow like maybe like triple D. They're like this, they're like this big.
I just wish that people would notice me.
And she's like, "That's it. I can't take it anymore," and she kills herself. Like, geez, man, times are tough.
I know, right? It's like, and there's even one point where they tease there's a little like growth
like
on
a nipple on her neck or something.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, oh, maybe she's going to grow more breasts and she'll be like this, like, deformed cow creature or something. But no, her boobs just get a little bit bigger, and then that's just too much for her to take, and she has to kill herself over.
Then, like the other weird thing with the next wish we get is this other character. He's just like he's working out like really intensely with 5-pound weights. Like, it's the most intense 5-pound weight workout you'll ever see.
Yeah.
He's going nuts. And then the genie's like, "Yo, so you want to, get buff, bro?" And he's like, "No, I don't want to do that." And then he shows him himself with his arms like the size of my arms. Not even like
a little bigger.
He doesn't even have huge arms. Yeah. And then the guy's like, "Oh yeah, an inch on my biceps. Let's roll these dice." Then he paints a picture, flies away, and you never see him again.
No, he's established as an actor. That's in the first scene you meet him. He's an actor, and like him and one other character are aspiring actors. And you think, okay, that's what he wants to do. And so his wish is, I believe, I want everybody to admire me.
Right.
So he gets buff and paints a picture, and that's the extent of the granting of his wish.
So he goes from actor to painter to no longer in the movie.
Yeah, and I love the scene. One of my favorite scenes of the movie was the way they find out about him is time's kind of wonky in this movie. You don't know how much time passes, but it seems pretty immediate. He makes the wish, and it seems to be the next day. His friends turn on the news. And it's him flexing in front of his self-portrait. And it's the bottom, the little thing scrolling says, "Picture painting sold for record price." And they continue to scroll, and I wrote it down. It says, "Voted as the self-portrait in history." Was what this
is that exactly what it says? That's
what it says. Yeah, voted.
That'll be right here. You'll see it
as the painting in self-portrait in history. And like you said, then you're like, okay, what's his comeuppance? And it never comes. They assume something bad happened, but all we know is he went on vacation because he had all this money from his historic self-portrait.
One thing we forgot, I should note that the girl whose breasts get so large that she can't handle her life anymore, her name is Melania. And they mentioned that her name is Melania at least 30 times.
Yeah.
Just driving home that her name is Melania.
Yeah. And I love the fact, too, that they tease like she has a crush on the agent. And all these characters are mid-20s at youngest. The actors are probably mid to late 20s. And they kind of try to sell. She's basically the same age as the agent, at least the actors are. And she's like hitting him. He's like, "Give me a call back in 10 years.
Okay, but do you want to maybe go get a drink? I know a nice little pub just down the road.
I'll tell you what. Why don't you give me a call in about 10 years?
It's like you're the same age.
Right.
And then we find about halfway through the movie, you find out they're college students, even though the main character is this like best-selling author. She's still in college. So it's very wonky what's going on in this with these people.
Exactly. So I'd say the next character is the agent. We deal with the agent, and I guess the djinn is like crank calling him or something, and he's like, I want to be famous. I want to be somebody that everybody knows about."
Yeah.
And he just becomes the victim of a mass shooting.
Well, he says his what he picks for famous. He says, "I would be famous like those kids on the internet."
Yes, that's exactly.
So
what
I'm
he said.
assuming he means he wants to be like TikTok famous.
Yeah.
But he's like basically like a school shooting victim famous.
Like earlier on, he's like the guy who comes and shoots him. It's like a Milton in Office Space thing. Like he's like reading this guy the riot act. Like he plagiarized this guy's book.
Yeah.
And then the guy basically threatens him, and he's like, "I'm going to sue you." And that guy, you think they're going to forget about it, but in a rarity in a Jagged Edge movie, they call back to this guy because that's the guy that executes the shooting with your typical Jagged Edge horrible gun effects. It's just like flashes of light coming out of a fake gun and then CGI blood. And the funny thing is, he shoots him with a shotgun.
Yeah.
And then approaches him, and you still hear the guy just very clearly, not even in pain, like, "Please don't shoot me again."
Remember me? Guess you're in that clock now, huh? Asshole! Please don't.
And I love that because they show like security footage of the shooting, and you hear gunshots, and you hear it from his office, and it sounds like a cheap gunshot effect. So you understand why he's not afraid, because it doesn't sound like a gun's really being fired. But eventually he goes to explore, and they show the security footage, and of course, like people would do in a shooting, everybody runs towards the gunfire. Right. So the guy's walking down the hall, and there's like office doors, and he shoots. One guy comes running, he shoots him. Another person peeks their head out, shoots that person. He just works his way down as everybody runs, follows their natural instincts of running towards the gunfire.
Of course, don't lock your door and hide under your desk. Just go towards the
yeah.
They were not trained at all there.
No.
So that's his, again, very shallow arc, which leaves us with just Gabby, her boyfriend, and then the other friend, whose name escapes me, Samantha, Sam. That's right, her name's Sam. She all of a sudden, like Kirk said, there's no hint that she's looking for love, but it's her turn to make a wish, and she's just looking for love. She makes the mistake of saying, "I want to have the kind of love, till death do us part."
Till death do us part, sort of thing.
And she meets a man, and they have a whirlwind romance. Then he stabs her to death in an alley.
Yeah, the genie doesn't even have to be like clever or ironic in this movie. Yeah, because the people are making the dumbest wishes. She says, I want love till death do us part." It's like, well, what do you think is going to happen, stupid? You're talking to a genie.
Yeah.
There's
no awareness. Like I thought they had studied the first film. So that,
exactly.
They should have known what happened.
Yeah, they've seen a genie movie. You know how this works.
We've established that Gabby, the main character, her wish is that her mother will come out of the coma, and then she spends the entire movie not understanding the term utilitarianism, apparently, because like all these horrible things are happening. Her mother wasn't dead, and I guess the hospice / care home she was in was actually optimistic about her prognosis. So it wasn't like she wasn't dying. She was in a coma. Yeah. And it never occurs to Gabby. Maybe I can, and she knows that she can just revoke her wish and make it all end.
Yeah.
But it takes all of her friends dying before she's like, you know what? Yeah, I should do that. And her boyfriend, Landon, I would say dies in the stupidest way. Like they have like a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. And he tries to free the genie. Yeah. And the genie goes, you know what? That you can't. I'm just going to take your soul now.
So I'm forced to take your soul.
So a glowing baseball comes out of his mouth and he dies.
Yeah, it's like he's like, well, I'll try this way, and the genie's like, nah, I'm not going to do that. And that's what they set it up at the beginning of the third act, where there's three ways you can stop the genie. You can wish to set him free, you can revoke your wish, or you could trick the genie. And again, if we're watching a regular movie, you think, oh yeah, they're going to figure out a way to trick the genie because that's the hardest thing to do, and so they'll figure out a way so everybody can be happy, and they'll outsmart them. And they just never mention that one again. They just try the other two until one of them works.
Yeah. So he dies. Now Gabby's like, you know what? I guess I've had some time with my mom. Fun and games is over. I'm just going to revoke my wish. And that's legitimately all it takes. Like there isn't even like a payoff. There's no final conflict. There's no big fight. It's just like, genie, we had some good times together, right, bro? I revoke my wish. And he's just like, yeah. And the movie ends, and he specifically says things will go back as if nothing happened.
Yeah.
But the caretaker in the hospital is like, "Oh, your mother was up and walking around yesterday." Shouldn't that have not happened?
Not yet.
So strange how she was up and about and now she's reverted.
Yeah, and also we never see any of the other characters again, so we don't know what their ultimate fate is, if it reverse would happen to them or not. You figure you see like her friends walk in, hey, we're all alive again and everything's okay, and never get.
They ran out of time shooting. They ran out of film.
Yeah, because it does end abruptly.
Yeah. Is there anything any major plot points we missed that you think the people should know about?
I think we got the plot as much as there is. I think we got that down. Do you want to talk about the creature design?
Oh, please. It is actually the same creature design. You didn't see the first one. We talked about it in the last episode. But let me get your opinion on this creature design.
Yeah. The best mask Spirit Halloween has to offer. The way it's shot is it's always in the, whenever the genie comes, it's blue light. Everything's bathed in blue light. And he's standing in the corner. And he's usually like this, because there's zero articulation in his mouth. It's just a bunch of teeth and nothing moves. There's no jaw or anything, no hinge at all, just nothing. So he'll talk like this, but still they have several shots of him close up, lighted well enough to see him, where he's talking and you see nothing moving. So I don't know why they bother with the ruse.
We touched on that in the first one. What I said is this is a I don't know if you've seen Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, but this is a pre-Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey movie. So that sweet Winnie the Pooh money had not rolled in yet for them to get a mask where the mouth moves. And that's a typical thing in most movies.
And you can tell the costume is, you can see like the creases. It's supposed to be his flesh, obviously, but you see the creases when he moves in his shirt and his pants. Like he just zipped that thing up quick and got on set.
Yes, he did. And I believe the actual character that plays him actually has a cameo in the movie as just somebody who's like opening a door.
Yeah, I think he's the guy that when she drops her books before the girl with the boobs, before she makes her wish.
That's him. Yes.
Yeah. Right after she makes the wish, he's like, gives her that like snide eye.
That is the same guy who plays the genie. Yes. Yeah. So he was pulling double duty in this movie as breast ogler and genie. Well, the one recurring bit we do have in the show, I briefed it out beforehand, is Luis, the champion of Why We Love Horror Trivia, has asked us that, we're warning you not to watch this movie, but in the event that you decide to, hey, you know what, I hate myself and my friends, let's give you a drinking game to go along with it so your night isn't a total waste. And I let the guests go first, Kirk. What?
Okay.
If you had to encourage people, okay, if you're going to do this, at least do it this way, what kind of drinking game would you give them to play?
I would say, first of all, take a drink anytime an actor looks like they're waiting to hear either action or cut.
That's a good one.
Because it doesn't feel like there was a lot of directing going on, and even within the scenes, the actors a lot of times seem like they're waiting to figure out or to be told what to do. There's a lot of I was going to mention this during the when you showed the trailer, they should have had whoever edited the trailer edit the movie, because the trailer makes it look like things are happening and there's some kind of pacing. That doesn't happen in this movie. There's a lot of times like somebody will pair, they'll just stare at each other awkwardly. And that's very often at the beginning or the end of a scene where people are sitting and then they say their line.
Yeah, and this is a 77-minute movie with credits. Yeah. It's 77 minutes with credits. And if they were to cut out all the stuff Kirk's talking about, this would be like a 62-minute movie.
Probably, yeah. There's a lot of people just, okay, I'm done. What do I do now? So you get a lot of that. So I would say definitely take a drink anytime an actor looks confused.
Definitely. I have two that center around just Gabby. For one, anytime Gabby's demeanor changes between scenes, like she's like nice in one scene and horribly mean in the next scene, take a drink. And then also take a drink when people call her two different names in a row, because she's Gabriella, she's Gabby, she's like Brielle. Her mom calls her Brielle. Yeah. They call her Gabby. Like every scene, someone has a different nickname for her, and she's smart enough to keep it all straight. So her name will change in variations throughout the movie. Take a drink every time they switch it up.
I would also say anytime there's we're never told exactly where or when this movie takes place. There's not a lot of great establishing shots. We do get one, and I'm assuming they just bought stock footage of a drone shot flying over a river. Sometimes it's going really fast forward, sometimes it's going backwards, sometimes it's slow. It's also a still of that is also the background image on everybody's computer. So awesome. There's
It's
no
depends.
yeah there's no explanation of where it doesn't like help you like, oh, they're at this place now. It just anytime they need to transition to a scene, they show the shot of the river. So I say anytime you see the river, take a drink.
Yeah, I think it's weird they did. We mentioned that in the last one too. It's because it's like not only, I mean, Jagged Edge is a British company. Usually everything is shot in and around London, right? However, they get a smattering of actors with different accents. Like there's Scottish people, there's English people, there's Americans. Sometimes an Australian, an Irish person wanders through. And in this type of movie, they're not saying they're anywhere. Sometimes they're clearly in London. Sometimes they say they're in America, but they're driving on the wrong side of the road. But yeah, here they don't. The Conjuring the Genie and Conjuring the Genie 2. It doesn't take place anywhere. I think it's supposed to be America now that I think about it, but they never say that. So whatever.
It could be America. It could be London. It could be some little British, village somewhere.
The Isle of Jersey. That's where they are. Well, that'll bring us to the end of talking about Conjuring the Genie 2 or Wishmaker. Kirk, if people want more of you, where can they find you here in this community?
Yeah, follow me on Letterboxd, Kirk Kowal, or I think I'm also under just Kirk Kowalkowski. That's where I do all my movie stuff. I'm on the other socials too, but Letterboxd is the one that's most important to me.
All right. And so if you made this far in the video, like, subscribe, comment, share. You can go to the Facebook group, Why We Love Horror. You'll get your full schedule every week if you go there. You can follow me on TikTok. It's right down there, WWL Horror. I do clips. I do reviews on there too, separate from this. We're trying to build up that community over there. My Letterboxd is also down there, JWMaher. And then coming up this week, it's Monday of this week, and it's Monday of the week after. This Thursday coming up on Why We Love Horror, Abby, Aaron, and I will review a new movie that released this week, probably a VOD, not much coming out this week. And then on Friday, come back for Why We Love Horror Trivia, 2 matches. I believe this will be the week we're doing the number 1 contenders match. So Dylan Van Dyne, Jordan Pierce Owens, Hunter Chambliss, and Shannon Briggs all competing for a chance to face Luis Booth. But we do appreciate you coming. This has been John Versus, and we'll see you next week.